Greetings, Glitter Gang, and happy Thursday. Welcome to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn, and today we are going to be crafting live the continuation of our Christmas in July album. Please excuse this octopus. This is not part of the Christmas in July album. Let me just move the octopus. Come here, dear. Thank you. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So that octopus was one half of the cake topper for my sister's wedding. We had a girl / bride octopus, and then we had a groom octopus. And then their tentacles, when they were stuck together, made a heart in between them, kind of like a heart archway. And anywho, so one of the arms broke off though. And you can preserve fondant. You can keep fondant. I'm going to put something in the chat. I'm going to type an emoji. What emoji it will be. It'll be a cat in a box. There you go. Okay, so if you can see a cat in a box in your chat, then you are in the chat that I can see, and you are not in a cornfield. So so if you are wondering, if I ever have to restart the live show for any reason, that creates a cornfield. I've actually figured it out. And I did have to restart the live show today. So therefore, there's a strong possibility there is a cornfield and you might be in it. So if you do not see a cat in a box in the chat typed by me, then you are in a cornfield. And the way you rectify that is you just keep refreshing until you see a chat with a cat in a box. There you go. Solved. Okay. So where we left off was with the bumper pockets, and I think we had done 2 bumper pockets but not 3. But what I don't remember is, did we complete 2 bumper pockets, or are we partway through a bumper pocket? No, we completed 2 bumper pockets. So we just have 1 bumper pocket left. And that's this one. So we did the Christmas tree. We did the gingerbread house. And so left is, I believe this one, the lanterns. Yes, the lanterns and the clock. So this is what's left, what remains to do. Okay. Alrighty, so where is the final bumper pocket? That is the question that needs answering right now. I picked it up with the book. Okay, let's set that to the side. Let's set this to the side. All right, so we need these. We need probably this for something. Oh, to make the bumpers. Are these extras? Yeah, these must be extras. All right, now I know what's going on. Now I know what's up. Okay, all right. I got it. I'm on top of it. All right, so we are going to cut this, and we're going to cut this to make 5 1/4 inch across, I believe. Just let me get that started. Okay, and I made that first cut with the ruler because it's just easier with my trimmer if I've already started it. So I'm just going to quickly trim this and get my 5 1/4 inch slice. And my goal is to get, and I don't think it's possible, I'd love to get this clock all the way over here and the full lantern. That's what I don't think I can do. Yeah, so the clock is 5.5 inches from the edge of the lantern. So we can get it almost, but we're gonna have to shave a little bit off the lantern and a little bit off the clock. To get there, but we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. So, what I'm thinking I might do is cut the clock out and then cut this to 5 1/4 and then put the clock wherever. So I'm going to use a 2-inch strip. Oh, I need to cut this. Hold on. First, let's get this measure. It's 5 1/4, right? Yeah, 5 1/4, and then this piece is 11, so 5 1/4 by 10 3/4. Let me cut the top. Okay. Alrighty, so there we go. Okay. All right, now I'm going to put a 2-inch strip of tape on this edge, or actually rather, no, on this edge. Okay. And just that for now. Hi, Tammy. Welcome to the Glitter Gang. I hope you enjoy the project. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the clock and then I'm going to cut this whole thing down to 5 1/4, and then we'll figure out based on that where's the clock going to go. So, welcome everyone. Hello to Sue. Sue says, hi, Glitter Gang. Hi, Glitter Gang. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Barbara Jean says, oh my gosh, I made it. Welcome, Barbara Jean. Donna says, good afternoon from Atlanta. Let's see. Judy, welcome. I see your comment. You are not in a cornfield. Just a reminder, a cornfield is a chat that I can't see. That's just what we call it. It's a little glitch that can occur. And so the way that you know if you're in the chat that I can see or not is simply, do you see where I have typed an emoji of a little cat in a box? This project has a playlist on my YouTube channel, Tammy, that has all the instructions and supplies for everything we've done so far. It's a work as we go project, meaning we're just kind of doing it together live. So there's no like already made version of it or anything like that. And there is not at this time a set of written instructions. There may be in the future. If there is, you know, I'll let you all know. But right now there is not. It's just a free project. Okay, so I've now cut this so that it's 5 1/4 inches across. So what we're going to try and do is figure out how to use the clock, and I mean, what we could do is have it hang over the edge. It wouldn't be hanging over by that much. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of cardstock and I'm just going to tape it to the back of the card base. So this is the front. This is where this goes, okay? And we just need it to stick right here. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna take a piece of tape. Yes, you can replay it, because what I've been doing is I've been uploading high quality local recordings I made of the live shows to a YouTube playlist and kind of sectioning it out. So that it'll be easier to find the pieces and parts you're looking for. And so to find that, you just go to my YouTube channel and go click the playlists and then click the Christmas in July 2022 playlist, and they'll all be there, everything that's been done so far. And the uploads will be uploaded to that. And it'll just be there as long as I have a YouTube channel. So you have to take notes, you know, you have to write the instructions for yourself, but it's free. So I did get an email. Linda, I saw your message. If Linda is here, I don't know if Linda is here. Linda, if you're here, I saw your message about some interesting pockets she saw. If I could figure out how they were made. So we'll see. I'll do my best when we're done with this. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do now is there's a couple things. One, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it so that it's, you know, centered on the page. And then that's going to expose the back. And I'm going to just trace these slits. And previous videos in the playlist for this project will show how to make this pocket. Okay. So I'm going to use the corner chomper, not the corner chomper, the power punch. And I'm going to punch out the corners of this. So what I'm doing is I used a 1/8 inch hole to make the rounded edges of these slits. And so now I'm just centering that in a 1/4 inch hole punch and punching it. The rest a little bit larger, so this pattern paper will trace the cardstock. Okay, so now that's done. What we're going to do is, let me just move that for a second. So now we're going to cut from the top of this circle to the top of that circle. So we're going to get a ruler and a craft knife, and we're going to cut. And I'm going to put this on this glass, a little bit of glass, so it's a little bit easier to cut through with my knife. I think my knife needs a new blade, but what can you do? I mean, and the answer to what could I do is I could change the blade. It's that's what you do if your knife needs a new blade, you just change it. pro tips with Kathryn. Oh yeah, this is really bad. Let me get it. Oh, here. All right. So cleaners were here yesterday, so I don't know where anything is in my craft area because they rearrange it every time, and they rearrange it in a new way every time. Okay, so I just took the blade and I put it in this little piece of cardstock so that I can throw it away and I won't have to worry about it poking out of the bag and getting someone later. And now I'm gonna change the blade. And the blades I use are by X-Acto, and they're the X-Life blades, which are sometimes listed or advertised as high carbon steel blades. So, ooh, okay. Nice. High carbon steel blades, and you can see they appear blue instead of silver like the blades normally do, so that's how you know you've gotten the right ones. And I just buy 100 pack every few years. That's how I buy them. Oh goodness, they are just totally out of whack. What are you doing, blades? How did you get like this? Okay, I think they're all mostly facing the same direction now. So, all right, wow. Dangerous, living dangerous. All right. Okay. Let's go back to the task at hand. All right. Okay, so now what was a 1/8 inch slit is now a 1/4 inch slit, which is what we want. So yeah, Linda, if you're watching, I'm going to take a look at the video and see what I can do. All right. And then, I don't know why I keep turning it back and forth. I could have just done 3 one way and then 3 the other way. But you know, what can you do? Your brain just wants to do what your brain wants to do. All right. And then pull this out. All right, look how much easier it is when it's done correctly. Okay, so now when we lay this over top, okay, you see how it kind of frames that red so that you have that red inside each of those slits, which is what we wanted. All right, I'm gonna set that to the side for a second. And we're gonna ink. So I've been using brush corduroy so far. And what I'm going to do is go around the outside. Again, this is Dreaming of Sugar Plums by Paper Phenomenon. It is linked down in the video description below, as well as the cardstock colors that I'm using, if you want to find either the cardstock for the base or this. And then without adding more ink, I'm just going to rub on either sides of the slit. I'm just trying to get rid of like the bright white from where it's been cut, more than I'm trying to like actually super distress it. All right. And then we can now peel the tape and go ahead and stick this down. So, all right, so Judy was the last person I greeted, so welcome, Judy. And Gretchen, hi, hello, how are you? Pat, welcome. I hope you're having a marvelous Thursday. Bev, howdy. Tammy, welcome. Brenda, hi, hello. Carol Joan has made it out of the cornfield. Congrats, Carol Joan. Ella, hello, how are you? Barbara Jean, still a fan of the 2-inch tape. Sandra, greetings. How are you doing today? Melanie. Deb says she's thinking of getting the membership. Could I explain it? Yes. So basically, the membership to the archives is going to give you access to a box account where I have uploaded the recordings from pretty much all my past live shows, whether they were on YouTube, whether they were on Ustream, whether they were on my website, you know, anywhere I did a live show at any point in the last, well, since 2009, that's how long I've been doing it. Anywhere I did a live show in the past 10 years, let's say. It's longer than that, but math. And so there's thousands of videos. They are all recorded there. And that's the only place where they all are. So if you want to have access to every video from every live show that I've ever done, wherever it was, the archives is where those all are. And then while you have access to the archives, you can download them. You know, you can play them live. You know, you can do whatever with them. Keep them forever. I know Fran has an external hard drive. She downloads them all too, so that she has a backup of them with her. That's an example of something you could do. You don't have to. But yeah, or if there's like ones you like a lot that you want to save, you know, then you can go ahead and save just those ones. You don't have to save any of them. You can just watch them in Box, although sometimes Box is not a video on demand, you know, platform. So sometimes, you know, there can be drama trying to watch it depending on how big it is or whatever. But you're going to see, you know, my evolution as a crafter over more than a decade. You're going to see the evolution of my streaming technology over the course of a decade. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. So, and all kinds of projects. There's tons of projects in there that I gave measurements for. Pretty much any project that doesn't have an album basics guide or a tutorial, the measurements are in the archives. That's where they are. So they're in the archives with the measurements. The majority of the projects I've done are in the archives with measurements. Like, and then just as an example with this project, it will also be in the archives even though it has a YouTube playlist. So you don't have to keep track of what's on YouTube and what's not. You can just go to the archives and see anything that I've ever done. There's projects in the archives that are really quick and easy to do, make great GIFs. you know, there's projects in the archives that are more complicated than that. It's all over the place. So, but yeah, it's basically just the one place to see everything I've ever done that's been live. So. But if you have any other questions, Deb, just let me know. And you can, if you want, you can just sign up for 1 month, which costs, because it's $5 a month or it's $49 a year. So if you sign up for a year, you get a little bit over 2 months free. So what you can do is you can sign up for a month. That'll give you $5. You can like click around in there, see if there's anything you want to download, whatever. And that can give you an idea of whether it's something you'd be into or not. And then if you want to change to an annual membership, if you think it's something you want longer access to, that's very easy to do. You can just contact us and we can help you with that. So that's another way to try it out. If you're not sure, if 100% sure if it's for you, you can try it for a month and then go from there. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to transform these into the green cards, green tags rather, they're not cards. So I'm going to pull out green scraps that I have here, and then hopefully I have enough scraps to make tags. Pretty sure I do. So first things first, I'm going to cut the existing edge off of them. But yeah, there's a ton in the archives, a ton. And there's stuff in the archives that's like the story of Omar the horse. There, you know, if you go in the archives and you search Omar, you can find the like stuff that's references, old references from the show. The childhood hometown summer album that has like a ton of stories from my childhood. Oh, the Triple D album. Yeah, that's the Democracy Dies in Darkness album. That album's in there. That album is, I mean, people have actually made that album, which is the most amazing thing about it. But yeah, that album's in there. That's an album where we did took a vote for everything I did, and the chat decided everything that went in the album. And then if I didn't feel like doing it, I just didn't do what the chat said, which is why it's called the Democracy Dies in Darkness album and not just the Democracy album, because Democracy died that day, died many times during that project. Many times. So yeah, like I would say Hometown Summer, watch those, because there's like, first of all, that album is cute anyway, but there's all kinds of photos and stories from my childhood. And then Democracy Dies in Darkness is another one. The one, that travel one I made with Kathy's travel paper, that's a big project with tons of really cool pages in it that has all the measurements if you want to take notes. But there's like Holy Joe's in that. There's all kinds of file folders. Well, every project you vote on, I don't have you vote on literally everything. That was the difference. You were supposed to decide everything. It's just that you guys are wrong a lot, so I have to save you from yourselves. So that's why. That's why. But Triple D has a lot of fun stuff in it as well. Like, there's a lot you can learn even from the sillier projects, like the Democracy Dies in Darkness album, because like it still teaches real stuff. So even though it's not, you know, not the most democratic album of all time. All right, so I'm going to ink the edges of these. And then we're going to punch the holes and do all that. Stick them. I'm going to glue them to the green cardstock. We'll tie the little bows in them, and we'll let those dry off to the side while we finish the bumper pocket. And like I said, in this YouTube playlist, if you're watching on YouTube, or in the archives folder that you're watching this in, if you're watching in the archives, there are, what are there, Kathryn? What are there? I don't know. I don't know what there are. So, what am I trying to say? Help me. Brain, help me. Oh. Construction videos for how to make the bumper pocket. That's what there are. If you're wondering how to get these slits, like how do those slits happen, that's all explained in the playlist on YouTube or in the archives. Or I should say, and in the archives. Yeah. Triple D, Hometown Summer, Omar the Horse. That Omar the Horse story is wild if you have never heard the Omar story. Probably one of the weirder things that's happened to me in my life. Yeah, the Democracy Dies in Darkness album is so big that we had to cut it in half. We had to unbind it and make 2 books out of it. It took a long time to make, I feel like. What else is in there? That project, all the new crafting terms, that box where each month for a year we made like a small book that went into it. I forget what that one's called. That one is in the archives, but it also has a tutorial if you want to like make your life easier and not have to take the notations on all of that. I forget what that's called. Something love files. Love files. That's what it's called. Anyway, Love Files is a project that took an entire year to make, and it has a tutorial so that if you don't want to watch a year's worth of videos and write it all down, you can get the tutorial for Love Files and then follow along. But that project has all kinds of really useful tutorials within it as well, because it has 12 different album styles that you can pull from for projects and such. I'm glad, Deb. That's nice to hear, because that baby album, that is that the one where you take the 12 by 12 page and you score it in half, and then you score it a third up from the bottom and you fold it into a double-sided pocket? Is that the one? I don't always remember what I call things. That's a 6x8 album once you've folded it, that I did as a baby album for a friend of mine. That one is very that one is very good for gifts. Very good for gifts if it's the one I'm thinking of. Oh. You don't have to throw your craft supplies. You can if you want to, but that's not part of the tutorial. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff, Deb, then that you probably will find in the archives that you'll be able to enjoy. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to punch 3 holes, or 3 1/4 inch. No, not 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch I decided was too small, so I used a 1/2 inch, right? Yeah, that's what I used. I like, you know, you like how I ask you, what are we doing, everyone? You tell me. It'll be like the Democracy Dies in Darkness album all over again. Yes, that is the one then. The yellow, I do remember it had a yellow cardstock base. All right, so what I'm going to do is going to put these 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch. These are 1/2 inch. All right, so now all we have to do is cut these apart. I'm gonna leave the glue out because we're gonna need it again. All right, one. All right, so I'm gonna just trim these. Merp. Okay, so those are pretty much done. We just need to poke the hole for the string, and I'm going to use my 1/16 inch hole punch for that. So that's my power punch. And just so that it's easier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a white gel pen and I'm going to put a dot in the center. This makes it easier for me to find the center with the hole punch, because I can just yes, all Scrappy Bowls are in the archives, and every project sheet from Scrappy Bowls where we did project sheets, which I think there are 5 of those project sheets are still in the archives. So the project sheet that you can download for 24 hours after Scrappy Bowl, those stay permanently in the archives as well. So Scrappy Bowls that happened before you started watching Scrappy Bowls, you can go back and download their project sheets as well. So you have access to all those project sheets as well. So those are also in the archives. That's the only place you can get them, actually, is the archives. It's the only place where they are. Those old the previous Scrappy Bowl project sheets. So yeah. And like I said, I think there's 5 of those, but I'm not 100%. But that's what I think. Okay, so I cut these to 8 inches, I believe. I had to accept that I was never getting my cheetah scissors back and get new scissors. I stole those scissors from my college's wardrobe department in 2002. I had those scissors for a long time. No, those were the ones that I lent to the people who were putting the pew bows on my sister's, at my sister's wedding, never came back. So the chain of theft continues. All right, so since this hole is too small, I've kind of learned that the easiest thing to do is to kind of pinch it shut and then push it through the hole. Well, I looked to see, and that particular pair goes for over $100 on eBay. So I think people, yeah, I think people think they're cool looking, and then you just, and you can't get yourself a pair anymore. So the only way to acquire them is to pay a lot of money or to steal them. So all right. All right, gonna, and I just put this little dab of glue on the knot just so that the knot doesn't unravel. Just to keep it in place. So like I said, the easiest thing to do with this 1/16 hole, because it is so small, is to just kind of pinch this as tight as you can and then use something to push it back through, and then you can pull it. And then that'll be there for you. So, all right. Okay. So I've made no progress on reading the book club book. I couldn't remember if I was supposed to be reading it or not, because I couldn't remember if I ever made a decision, but I made no progress on it. So officially we're taking August off, officially. And then we'll pick back up with September, but we're not making, I'm not going to change anything other than we're just going to take August off, which I think is what we decided, but I can't remember. I cannot remember. Now I do have the book out from the library because I was like, well, maybe I'll just read it, but then I just did not. Why are you being such a problem? You're the last one. Ugh. Man, the worst thing my father ever did to me was this bow nonsense. Okay. We got there. We got there. Whew. He had no idea what an impact this was going to have on my life when he passed down this generational curse from his mother. But my grandmother, my dad's mom, was left-handed, and so he ties his shoes the way a left-handed person would. And then he is the one who taught us all how to tie our shoes, so we all tie our shoes the way a left-handed person does. And it may not seem like that big of a deal, but there's certain things where it is a little more challenging. It's a little bit harder to tie bows. Poor left-handed people, man. They just how many little things like this throughout the day? You know what I mean? Like if Just think about it, like how much I had to struggle to tie that bow, and then just think how many other things in a day do they have to deal with, you know? Okay, so we need to make our strips here. So what I'm going to do is 2, 3, 4, 5. That's probably good enough. Okay. I know he didn't know I was going to be a crafter. We didn't understand the curse, you know. We didn't understand what a curse it was going to be. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting the hinge here off of each of the pieces that were, I don't know what they were for, but I cut and scored them for some other aspect of this project, and I think I did it incorrectly or something of that order. Yeah, dragging their hand across the pen ink has got to be the worst. There's very few things that are easier for left-handed people. In fact, off the top of my head, the only thing for sure that I know is easier for left-handed people is operating a sewing machine. So that's operating a sewing machine is easier for left-handed people than right-handed people, and that's like literally the only thing I can think of, and that is because the person who invented the sewing machine was left-handed. That is why. So, all right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to cut these to the correct size. So in this case, it'll be 5 1/4 and 5 1/4. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these a 1/16 of an inch short of 5 1/4. So that they're just slightly smaller than 5 1/4. Now these we have to marry together. But yeah, that's why when you use a sewing machine when you're right-handed and if you don't train yourself to use your left hand to push the fabric through, you're scrunching in that little tiny space between the needle and the body of the machine to push things through if you're right-handed. But if you're left-handed, it's just there. It's there. It just works because that's how it was designed. Your hand is in the free. No right-handed person. I know, that's a good point. That's a good point. Everyone just kind of was like, well, this is just how the sewing machine is, and then they all just moved on. Probably because the controls are on the right, so we were all just like, oh, well, you need to be able to reach the controls. Maybe that's why we left. Maybe that's why we left the sewing machine alone. All right, so these ultimately need to be or 11, right? But we're going to short it. I'm going to do a 10 and 15/16, same as I did before. So it's just a 1/16 of an inch short. All right, so, all right, we've got all of our pieces. So we've got 2 that are a 1/16 of an inch shorter than 5 1/4, and 2 that are a 1/16 of an inch shorter than 11. All right, so we're gonna add tape to these, and then we're going to miter the corners and stick them in the book. And then after we've done that, we're going to add our bumpers that create the bumper pocket. I'm going to just make a tape chain here. So let's see, what have we been doing? We had some more people come out to give a second opinion on the sod. And this is the second contractor that the landlord has sent out about the sod. And the first contractor said that their bid for the sod, they told this to us just like in passing, that their bid for the sod would include irrigation because it would be irresponsible to put that much sod in a yard without an irrigation that could be set to maintain the sod, because it would literally take, with the size of the yard, because it is a corner lot, like hours a day of us standing there with a hose to water the sod. So they just flat out said they were not going to do it unless irrigation was part of it. So they sent another contractor out, and they were just like aghast at the state of the grass, at the size of the yard, at the complete lack of irrigation, you know, all of that. And they said that their boss would also put in a bid that included irrigation, because they basically said no one's going to put grass in a yard this size without irrigation, period. And they explained to us it's because sod comes with warranty now. So if it dies within a certain amount of time, you know, they have to come back and replace all the sod, and that's extremely expensive for them to do. And so, you know, one of the things that they require as part of the warranty on the sod is that they set the irrigation and that you don't mess with it. And so she was like, literally no reputable place is going to take this job. And I was like, well, disreputable is their speed. So just like, so we'll see if they give in on this irrigation thing, or if they just keep sending sketchier and sketchier grass people out. But one of the sod guys who came out is one of the people who'd been called out to look at it before. And he said it actually looks better. And I said, oh, we found some ground cover seeds that actually were able to grow a few stragglers. And he said, oh, I see that. I see that. But yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. So everyone's like, oh, we don't want this job. No, thank you. No, thank you. All right, so now I've cut those. This is just a tool for mitering quarter round for hardwood floors. So you can find it in hardware stores or flooring stores. Its purpose is to cut angles into quarter round. That's what it's for. In my Amazon ideas list, which is linked in the video description if you're watching on YouTube, it is listed. The tool is listed so you can at least get an idea of what you're looking for if that's something that is interesting to you. All right, so, oh, I cut this way short because I forgot it's 5.5, not 5 1/4. Oh well. 5 1/4 is the size of the pattern paper, not the size of the card, but whatever. It'll still work. Okay, the reason you want to put these pieces down before you put your bumpers down is because you want your bumpers to go on top of these whenever possible. And I'm going to put this here. So that's going to extend past the edge, continue to extend past the edge. All right, so now that we've covered these holes, we have to redo them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get the big bite out and use the 1/8 inch hole punch that's on the big bite to repunch those. Well, I think the issue is that the landlord in question, which is Invitation Homes, this is a financialization project. So, you know, these are not people, like, these are not some people from your town who own a few properties in town and who want to protect their investments. These are Wall Street number crunchers who really just want the property. And they want to tie up and buy up as many properties in town as possible to raise the rents so they can rent out more and more terrible places at higher and higher prices, which is exactly what they're doing here where I live. So for them, this is not about, like, they don't care. Because ultimately the goal is for them to own so many of the properties that you have no choice but to rent from them, and you have no choice but to pay whatever it is they want for whatever state of the property it's in. You know, they don't have the same motivations as like a human would have. So, but yeah, 60 Minutes did a thing on Invitation Homes, and they declined to even give a comment. They were just like, nah, we're not even gonna defend ourselves. So it's like, which is probably for the best, because one of the corporations that did decide to talk to 60 Minutes, their marketing director was the guy who went and talked to 60 Minutes, and, you know, he was asked some question about the American dream, and he was like, you know, she was like, what do you say to these young couples who, because of your manipulation of the market, can't afford the American dream? And he actually said, like, well, now you can rent the American dream. And I was like, do you even, like, hear yourself? Like, it's like, all right, so here we go. So yeah, Leslie was not impressed. Okay, so now we've got everybody in here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put this one at the top because it has the ornament on it, and then this one will go down here. Okay, so here I've got to slim up my cardstock a little bit. So I'm just going to take it over to my other trimmer, and because it can trim a little more closely. And Barbara Jean, you asked me earlier if this trimmer is still available. Yes, I believe this is a common / popular trimmer from Fiskars, and you can probably get it just at any Joann's. But I forget what it's called. Because I always want to say it's the Procision, but I don't think that's correct. I think that's the big one, the big rotary one. So let me look it up when I'm done trimming. All right, I've cut about 1/8 of an inch off the sides. I've skinified it. So let's see if I can get this in. Yeah. All right, so that fits there, and then we're going to put this one here. Okay. Okie dokie. So, all right, one at a time, starting from the bottom, we're going to get them in. Okay. So, what did I do last time? 3/4 of an inch, I think. So I'm going to cut this. This is a 1-inch strip that I've scored down the middle, and I'm going to cut into 3/4 inch chunks. Because I actually don't need them to be that big. Yeah. There are, so Invitation Homes, which is who I am dealing with, they are or were a subsidiary of BlackRock, which is a mutual fund. Now Blackstone, which is another mutual fund, they recently took out a huge loan so that they would be able to buy up a bunch of properties. So you have two funds with very similar names. BlackRock and Blackstone are both involved. And another company, this is a Canadian company that's in our area, is Tricon. And then Goldman Sachs, they also do it. They buy up whole neighborhoods of single family homes to turn them into rentals. So lots of Wall Street types are, if like housing went wild, you know, where you live, if you live in one of these hot areas, a good contributor to that was probably a mutual fund or Wall Street fund of some kind, bank, whatever. Yeah, Invitation Homes. All right, so now I'm just going to put this here on the bottom so that it can stop. And then we'll put one on the side as well. Okay. So, I'm just going to kind of, I need to make sure I have enough of a little corner there. Okay, so those two are down. All right, and then this third one, we'll get this corner and this edge. And then that'll be all of our bumpers. And the purpose of these bumpers, once again, is just to keep them from sliding down too far so that they you know, fall all the way through. All right. So we've got all of them. So now what we need to do is just peel the tape. And then I'm pressing the sides down to the tape just so that I know that everybody's in the right spot and nothing's going to flip back or anything like that. And then I can peel all the tape off and we can put it into place in the book. But anyway, so yeah, so let's see what else. I saw Maverick, Top Gun, the Top Gun movie, sequel, whatever. And then that made me want to read The Right Stuff. So I read The Right Stuff, and Tom Wolfe is a great narrative nonfiction writer. Oh my goodness. So that's a wild ride, that book. That's a wild ride. But just because when I was watching Maverick, and there's a scene in the beginning where his job in the military, Maverick's job in the military at the start of the movie is as a test pilot. Yeah, you could not accidentally rent a house from Invitation Homes without knowing that it was an Invitation Homes home. You would know. All right, so the disc is down right there. It's there still. So we just need to add the magnet. I mean, I may not have peeled the tape from it, but it's not the end of the world if I didn't. Okay. So I'm going to go put a glue dot on the magnet. Yeah. So anyway, he reminded me of Chuck Yeager, the way Chuck Yeager is described, portrayed in The Right Stuff. So that made me want to revisit The Right Stuff. But yeah, if you like nonfiction and if you're interested in kind of the space race, then it's a big book, but it's very interesting. It's about the at least in the foreword to the edition that I read, Tom Wolfe talks about how he just wanted to know what makes you want to do this. You know, what makes you want to be the first man in space? Like, how do you, like, what's the brain or thought process of a person like that, basically, right? And so that's what the book is there to examine. And he, you know, since they were all test pilots, one of the things he's examining in the book, which is the connection back to Top Gun, one of the things he's examining in the book is there are test pilots, and then all the first 7 astronauts were test pilots, but like not all of the test pilots that were eligible to apply to be astronauts did. So the question was kind of like, what divided them? I don't know. It's just really, that's what he's trying to answer, but okay. All right, so this is now in. So we've now got all 3 of our bumper pockets done. So I'm going to do a recording break, and then what we're going to figure out is what's going to go here. So we are going to work on the backs of these. So we've got the bumper pockets on the front. The question we will answer in the next video is what will go on the back. So if you're watching live, just hang tight. Nothing is going to change for you. I won't even be gone. If you're watching in the YouTube playlist, check the next video in the playlist, and you will see the continuation of this series. And if you're watching the day this video just came out, you know, the rest of it will be posted tomorrow. And then if you're watching in the archives, just go ahead and go to the next video and you will see the rest of today's class. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.